Well, look at this. I've happened upon a little rest area. Check out this wall behind here. It looks like just a rock wall from further away, but it's not. It's got, like, this is wood, and then this is different, some kind of stone. All sorts of different things making up this wall. That is pretty cool. And I'm pointing it out because we are going to be seeing a lot of this today. And when I say we'll be seeing some more stones and things like this, I mean we'll be seeing a lot more. A lot more. Lots and lots. Well, hello once again, fellow people. Welcome to another edition of Tommy Travels. It's Tommy Travels. We are in West Bend, Iowa today, just outside of Des Moines, at a place called Grotto of the Redemption. And this is just an amazing place. I had never heard of it till I looked it up on the internet to find places to go. And I said, when I saw this on the internet, I said, we have got to go check this place out. So here we are today. Absolutely fascinating story, fascinating place. And so come on with me, let's go see what there is to see.
Telling you that the word grotto means cave. So it's like Father built all these caves, and in each one he put a different scene out of Jesus' life, and then he tied them all together with the theme of the fall of man and his redemption through the way of the cross. Father Paul Doberstein was the builder of the grotto. He was born and raised in Rosenfeld, Germany, and that's where he lived till he was 20. And while he attended the university in Germany, he took a course in geology, and that's what opened up the world of rocks to him. And that's when he discovered that he loved both rocks and geology, so both became his lifelong hobbies. And when he built the grotto, he used rocks from all 50 states and from every country in the world. He immigrated to the United States in 1892. Now at that time he was 20 years old, but not a priest. He had wanted to be a priest, he just didn't have the, he just hadn't been able to get accepted into the program in Germany. So in this country, he was staying with family members in Chicago, and he needed to find work. So to find the work, he was reading the want ads in the German newspapers out there. And one day he saw an ad that the Iowa bishop had placed, and that bishop was looking for German-speaking priests because a large section of Iowa had been settled by German immigrants. So he answered that ad, and after an interview he was accepted and he was sent to a seminary in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 1897 came. He was just 2 weeks away from being ordained, and he nearly died of double pneumonia. Well, this was long before penicillin. They had no medicine at all to give him. Back then, when people got pneumonia, they usually died. Paul Doberstein wanted to live, and so he prayed to get well, and he promised in his prayer that if he got better and got to be a priest, that one day he'd build a shrine. And this is the shrine. And he was going to build the shrine wherever they sent him to pastor a church. He was sent here to West Bend in 1898.
They have a little museum to honor Father Doberstein, and in it they have his original desk and chair set up. There's this bust of him, Holy Bible, and even a picture of the man himself who created all of this glorious stuff that we are seeing here today. Here's a look at just some of the types of stones that make up the grotto. They are shipped in from all over the world. They have coral, sand dollars, and even amethyst crystal from Brazil, and Brazilian agate, also from Brazil, and quartz from Missouri. All kinds of rocks.
Well, this is where the construction began 106 years ago. And at that time, Father Doberstein just had one person helping him. Matt Sorenzi was a young man from here in West Bend. Matt was just 18 when he started to work here. And he loved the grotto so much he worked here his whole life until he passed away at the age of 85. Father Doberstein still got to work on the grotto for 42 years. He passed away in 1954. He was 82 by then. And Father Graving was sent here in 1946 to be the assistant priest. He's the one who finished the grotto and then stayed until his own death in 2002 at the age of 81. So those were the three who did the stonework on the grotto. But and Father was very particular about that stonework, but there were plenty of jobs anyone could do that they needed help with. They opened it up to volunteers. Hundreds of volunteers worked here through the years. It was 80 years that it took to build the grotto from start to finish. 1912 to 1992. Wow. And actually, by the time Father Doberstein passed away, he had completed 80% of this. Well, this grotto they called the Grotto of the Trinity because the front is built in 3 sections symbolizing the Trinity. Straight ahead we see Mary, and she's holding her son Jesus out to us as if to say, take him, he's yours, because he was the promised Redeemer God had said he would send. Above her head is a large star. Follow it up past the upside-down capital A, and you'll see a small area of pink rocks. Spelled out in white stones on the pink rocks are the letters A-V-E, the word Ave. Now that looks upside down to us, but Father Doberstein always said if you read it from heaven, then it's right side up. Now Ave is a Latin word, and it means hail or hello. And that's the way the angel Gabriel greeted Mary when he came to tell her she was to be Jesus' mother. The stained glass window you see in that section shows the Annunciation. And the window was made in the same part of Germany Father Doberstein came from, and that window is over 100 years old. On this side, we see the large cross, and the gray wreath above it represents the crown of thorns. And on the shelf is a hammer. In the back, a large black nail head. This symbolizes the sponge that was used to give Jesus the drink of vinegar while he was on the cross, and the lance that pierced his side. And the dome of this grotto, Father made to represent heaven, and with all of the little angels standing around up there, it truly does look like heaven. Well, Father Doberstein not only enjoyed working with the rocks, he also liked to hunt them. So he ended up traveling throughout the 48 mainland states to gather these rocks himself. And he started to stockpile the rocks already in the year 1900. And at that time, his only transportation to haul them with was a horse and wagon. And later he went on trains, still later he used trucks. Well, now Father Graving had been born and raised on an Iowa farm. And when he came here, he said the only thing he knew about rocks was you had to pick them up out of the field. He said, I hate rocks. So he had a lot to learn. But he learned well, and he too even sent some in train cars and trucks. And during the 80 years, the two of them sent a little over 100 train carloads of rocks here to the grotto. Father Doberstein they only had to pay shipping charges, I should say, on the train carloads. So that's why they know how many of those came. But they did not have to pay for anything else, so no one ever counted the truckloads and the wagon loads. So that's why nobody knows how many rocks are here. Father Doberstein always said, only God knows the answer.
So this little grotto represents the Garden of Eden. There's Adam and Eve, and even the serpent right over here. You can see him, and he winds around the tree and all the way over back here. What I really like about this one is that when he was putting this all together, he couldn't find rocks that really represented water very well. But he was able to do it. See, this represents water. It's got that blue color to it. He couldn't find any rocks that were like that. So what he did is he used Coke bottles. Whatever works, I guess, and that one really did work. Look at that. Just absolutely beautiful.
Highest point here at the grotto. It's 40 feet up there. And that statue of Jesus being laid in the arms of his mother is similar to the Pietà, which stands in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Now when you look right below the bottom of the big cross, you can see that large circle with the colors red and gray in it. That's a big cross section of a tree trunk from the petrified forest in Arizona. These mosaics were made in Venice, Italy, and Father received them already put together. He just had to mount them. Now he outlined the first 11 of the stations with brown jasper. He chose a gloomy color like brown to symbolize the harshness of the pain and the suffering that Jesus went through during his trial and his walk to Calvary. And then we get up here to station 12. This one is Jesus dies on the cross. And this one Father outlined with white rocks. He did that to show the importance of that event, because that's what reopened heaven so we could all go. And as you walk through the rest of this part of the grotto, you'll also see a lot of the different shapes and sizes of seashells that were used to finish the rock formations.
You know, sometimes in life, you think you've seen everything. And then you wind up at a place like this, and you find out you certainly have not.
Well, this is the 14th station of the cross, and the statue in here is of Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus slaying Jesus' body in the tomb. This statue is the greatest work of art that we have here at the grotto, because this was carved from one single block of the Carrara marble. So this is not three figures put together. This is one statue, one piece. And Father got this in 1948. At that time, the cost of the statue plus the shipping charges from Italy came to $4,200. And today that amount wouldn't even pay for the shipping charges. And we call these Doberstein rocks because Father got creative again and made them. He was building the stations of the cross during the years of the Great Depression, and during those years he couldn't always afford to pay the shipping charges on his train carloads of rocks. So then he would use whatever rocks and shells he had, and he made the rest by becoming the town's first recycler. Now in the 30s, they still didn't have plastic. Everything came in glass jars or bottles, so everybody had a lot of glass to throw away. He asked the whole town to save it for him. He brought it here, he melted it in his kiln, and then he got crayons, and he melted the crayons in with the glass. He'd use the old ones that the kids at school didn't want anymore. He'd buy some if needed, but that's how he made all these colors. And when it got hard again, he broke it into pieces, and that's a Doberstein rock. On the pedestals, we have boulders from North Dakota. And these are called mud balls, and that's exactly what they are, petrified mud. And these were made by the glaciers. At the end of the last ice age, when the glaciers were melting and as they were receding, they were scraping the mud and rolling it into perfectly round balls of all sizes. And those were left to petrify and harden into rocks. Now, in the corner, we have fluorescent rocks. And what makes them fluoresce are their minerals. All rocks are made out of minerals. But the minerals in some rocks have certain properties or characteristics to them that when those rocks are placed under an ultraviolet or black light, then the rays of that light will reflect off the minerals in those rocks. And that's what allows those rocks to fluoresce into colors. Cool. So up at the top on the left is a piece of uranium ore from Colorado. The green one beside it and these two down the side are pieces of willemite from New Jersey. The two gold ones are from Canada. Those are called wernerite, and they use wernerite to make a powder for crime detection. The row of green ones are opals, and you find those in a rock called hyalite in the state of Nevada. Here we have a piece of the purple fluorite. And here is an entire row of those Doberstein rocks. Now remember, Father made those with glass and crayons. Well, when he made these, he was doing a little experiment in his workshop, and he had some kind of a solution that he added to them to see if he could get them to glow. And as you see, his experiment worked, but these are also the only Doberstein rocks here that he did that to. Down here on this bottom section, all of the rocks except for one came from around Franklin, New Jersey. And that part of our country has many, many different kinds and colors of fluorescent rocks. The black and white striped rock is from California. It's called scheelite, and scheelite is used in the manufacture of tungsten steel and to make filaments in light bulbs. And then when you look at them under regular lights, they're just plain old ordinary looking rocks.
And if you ever make it out near West Bend, Iowa, you'll definitely want to check out this place. And when you do, you'll want to make the little trek up the top of the stairs and visit the highest point of the grottos. It is a beautiful view from up here. And technically, I guess that is the very highest point of the grottos. And then in the background, there is the church. So this video was created during the same week that Apple passed the $1 trillion mark in valuation. So it was nice to visit a place that is absolutely priceless. Well done, Father Doberstein. Well done. I like this serene little man-made pond that they have back here. So it looks like today's adventure is not going to end on a waterfall. We'll end on a water spout. Also very relaxing. Well, thank you guys very much for hanging out here with me today at Grotto of the Redemption in West Bend, Iowa. It's a very nice day now. The sun is starting to come out. It was a little rainy and had a couple rain delays earlier, but it was well worth it to see all of the wonderful things they have here. And I think you could come back many, many times and still see new things that you haven't seen before. So if you ever get a chance, please come out and check it out. And if you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and hit like on my YouTube channel. That helps support me in what I do. And then also hit subscribe and that little bell notification next to it. That just gives you future notifications of videos that are yet to come. And then if you want to get links to my Instagram and Facebook, you can just go to TommyTravels.fun. Several ways to get a hold of me. So thank you guys once again for hanging out with me today. It's been a blast, and I hope to catch you on the flip side.